obviously there's a little bit of turf action going on there.
Yeah, no question. I mean, this is a pretty nice horse. He put it all together in the La Jolla. I really like the way they took him back. They had him laying a little bit close to the pace before. They took him back 11 lengths off the pace, and he really responded and beat Rendezvous pretty easily that day. The next race, Rafael Bejarano had him laying, I thought, a little bit closer to the pace than what he really wants to do. I think that they made him maybe learn something. I think you'll see him taken back off the pace pretty well today.
Yeah, well, as you well know, Ron, from your experience, you know, they're not all push button, and many of them have a mind of their own. We saw that yesterday with Careless Jewel, that for whatever reason grabbed hold of that bit and just took on. If they do that and they pull you up closer than you want to be, it's not always by design or the way it looks on the past performances. So I think you're right. I think if he has his druthers, he's going to try to take him back and settle a little bit today.
Well, and he got to know him a little bit better last time. He had ridden him very well before, and you know, like I said, there is not many lengths that separate most of these horses in this race. So a lot of it's going to rely on who gets a good trip.
We are getting a good look at Rafael Bejarano and Meteor for Hall of Famer Richard Mandela as they still make their way towards the gate. That means you have plenty of time. They have not even stepped onto the turf course just yet to load in for race number 10. It's a good sized field, so you've got some time to peruse this field, take a look at the odds, make a decision about a trifecta or superfecta, and jump on in.
You know, I know as a handicapper, Ron, when we see these racing lines, and we were had the same kind of issue with some of these Breeders' Cup horses that have been running these terrific races all throughout the year, but it's a long year, and you just wonder at what point it's going to take the effect as a trainer. Obviously, that's, you know, one of your biggest challenges, to keep them obviously as fit as they can be and keep them as keen as they can be.
Well, I think that most of the Breeders' Cup races that were won today were won by horses that were relatively fresh, were pointed for this Breeders' Cup race. Zenyatta got knocked for not running very many times this year, but that's the way to bring horses into these big races. You can't go all year long. I mean, I give Giaponte a lot of credit. I mean, there's a horse that ran all year long. He came, he fired his best shot, but you've got to point for these races, and most of the winners, you'll notice, Goldakova pointed for this race, lightly raced this year. Zenyatta, lightly raced this year. The horses that were lightly raced, California Flag, lightly raced this year. That's the way you've got to come into these races, because eventually that's going to catch up with you a long year.
Yeah, the very first winner on the card, Pounce, that 2-year-old colt had only started 3 times, you know, and he came in here and he got the money, so he was fresh, and obviously he showed his class.
Yeah, you can also go Pounce, California Flag, Dancing in Silks. All started middle of the year and came into this Breeders' Cup relatively fresh and in good form. So, you know, the long time will eventually take its toll on these horses.
Approaching the gate to begin loading in and get set for this event. A good sized field. Of course, the starter crew had a pretty easy day until we got to the Classic.
Pretty easy couple of days until we got to the Classic.
And then they did a week's worth of work.
Yeah, they really did. Unfortunately, Quality Road, for whatever reason, wanted no part of that starting gate today.
But the good thing is, as you mentioned at the top, they got him back safe. He seems to be all right.
Well, I think they had to scratch him. He threw quite a fit in the gate and probably cut up his hind legs enough that it wasn't worth taking a chance.
Into the gate we go. It's the 10th and final on this day, the 40th running of the Grade 2 Oak Tree Derby. $150,000 as they go 1 1/8 over the turf course. Good luck and enjoy.
He's in, and they're all in line. They're racing in the Oak Tree Derby, and they're off to a good start. It's No Inflation going out to the front. Acclamation from the inside is away well. The Usual QT is next, and right behind them, Missoni tucks back in 4th. Down on the inside, Augustus the Strong is next, and then Battle of Hastings, who's taken well in hand early to race in mid-pack, 5.5 lengths off the lead. Rendezvous is next by a length, and then comes Gretzky, Meteor down on the inside, and then comes Oil Man. In the back is Tambourine, who's racing 9 lengths from the front in the race to the clubhouse turn. And Acclamation and Joe Talamo lead them early. They're going quickly, and Acclamation is the leader by 3/4 of a length. No Inflation is second by another 2 as they make their way to the backstretch run. Then it's the Usual QT, Missoni down on the inside. Battle of Hastings is in 5th, still about 4.5 lengths off the lead, and Augustus the Strong is right there to the inside. And then comes Rendezvous, followed by Meteor and Gretzky, Oil Man down on the rail, and Tambourine in the back of the field as as they head past the half-mile pole and into the turn. And it's Acclamation on top 3/4 of a length. No Inflation to the outside, putting the pressure on now. Then the Usual QT in third. Masoni fourth down on the inside, 3 lengths off the lead. Battle of Hastings being nudged along now. He's got 4 lengths to make up. Then Rendezvous. Tambourine circles up on the far outside. Meteor's going to need a way through. Meteor's about 4 lengths off the lead and starting to gain some ground with Rendezvous as they come into the final furlong. The Usual QT has taken the lead, but Battle of Hastings moves quickly to the outside, and then it's No Inflation. The Usual QT, Battle of Hastings. The Usual QT won it. Then Battle of Hastings, followed by No Inflation, and then came Masoni and Meteor.
There it is. Victor Espinoza scores in the final race. For James Cassidy, it's the Usual QT. We mentioned the hot horse coming in and won 3 consecutive. Go ahead and make it 4 in a row.
Well, you know, we talked about, Ron mentioned about the fact about a horse getting good and moving through his conditions and just getting better and better. Hadn't found his level yet, Ron. He came up with another huge effort. Battle of Hastings, you know, we talked about maybe him showing the effects. He didn't show any effects. He ran his heart out and ran his best race, one of his best races, and just got beaten.
Well, I mentioned how a lot was going to boil down to the trip, and what a very good ride by Victor Espinoza to get the Usual QT, a stalking trip, and made the difference in the end, because Battle of Hastings, you're right, he showed up today. He ran a huge race, but it wasn't quite good enough. As he got forced wide around that final turn, it's awfully tough to go 4 wide around that whole turn on the turf and still get the job done. But the Usual QT, he is on a roll. This is going to be 4 in a row for him, and when horses get their confidence built up, they can be awfully tough.
Yeah, until they level off, they're eligible to keep on winning, and when he did. So 8-9, I think the 4 was in that photo for third, but we'll wait for the official there.
Yep, the 8 on top, the Usual QT, bet down in half, 20-1 on the morning line. Goes off at a very square 10-1 in race number 10. We'll have the results of this, the Oak Tree Derby, 40th running of this, coming your way in a few moments. We're going to go back to where we started.
Okay.
Wrapping up the $5 million Breeders' Cup Classic. If we take you back